All right, guys, welcome to the Unfiltered Podcast. We're running a little bit behind today, but we got some great guests with us today. We're going to have a great show. Let's get it.
Yo, we're back for Trauma Tuesday. Are y'all lit? Because I'm lit. I'm feeling the vibe. I'm feeling the energy. Oh, my gosh. I'm happy to be here. I'm sorry we came on late. We had some difficulties, but we're here now. It's a Tuesday night. I'm feeling good. Are you feeling good, Eric?
Yeah, man, we're feeling good. So we got Josh in the building. Once again, thank you for coming in, brother.
Yo.
And yeah, man, he got me a little traumatized today. He, with the traffic, the whole Miami, the Miami traffic's got me traumatized. But we also have a lovely guest with us today. I'm gonna let you introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, I'm Angie.
All right, Angie, can you tell us your age and where you live?
Yeah, I live in Aventura. I'm 19.
Okay. How far is Aventura from Miami?
Typically it's like 30 minutes, but with traffic it's like 50 to an hour. It's crazy.
Goddamn. Okay. All right, cool. Thanks for coming in. Also, while we're at it, you're actually you're making history today because you're the first lady that's ever been on the day, technically the day/nighttime show with a guest. So shout out to you. Also, yeah, you're welcome. Also, guys, we are officially sponsored, as you can see. Our sponsor today is Vacay, and just wanted to touch on basically some of their products, man. This right here is the sleep gummies. It has CBD and CBN on it. It's a dose for everyone, so you guys can take this. This shit puts you to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's safe for you too, so you guys can look that up. And we have a code in the bio description, so if you guys want 10% off,
Unfiltered.
Yep, go ahead and tap that in for us. So Josh, you want to tell us a little bit about what happened today, G?
Oh yeah, so it traumatized me just as much with this traffic. I know it's a 25-minute drive usually, and it took me like an hour to get back here. So yeah.
Yo, but you got some loyal fans though, because they've been waiting patiently for you.
Yeah, I appreciate them. Yeah, they know what's up.
Yeah.
Anwar, can you read that chat for us, please?
From Beach Panda. Sir Josh is a legend in the making, like King Arthur, noble and royal, a gentleman trader whom takes no prisoners in his trading and gives no quarter.
Yo, you know who you actually look like, bro? Have you ever watched Troy?
Oh,
that's crazy.
I've seen that. Yeah.
He looks like Achilles, right?
Yeah, he does.
That's why you'll never be remembered. Oh no, he says that's why they'll never know your name.
Yeah.
That's what he says. Okay, cool.
It's crazy you say that. That's actually very ironic too, but I won't even touch it.
Nah, you're not gonna get into that.
That's so ironic.
Right.
I don't even know. That's crazy.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's I watch a lot of movies like that. Troy, Alexander the Great, like all those guys that took over stuff. Like I love watching that type of stuff.
Yeah.
You realize every time Josh comes, he's a new character. He was the first time Tarzan?
He was Tarzan. Yeah. The first time I saw him, he was Tarzan. Yeah. And then but they're all good, strong characters.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Notice that.
Was it White Jesus last
White
time?
Jesus? Yeah.
Jesus, Tarzan, and Achilles.
So guys, funny story. You don't know the backstory about it, but he came here the last time, and I opened that door and a dragonfly flew in. And so I immediately, my instincts were like, I'm just gonna kill this thing before he keeps flying around. And he was like, wait, no. he's like, wait, no. That's the easy way out. And he goes around the house capturing this thing. He catches it and takes it outside safely. And just like Jesus, he says, go on. So that shit was, yeah, he's a nurturer. So good stuff. Guys, today we're talking about Trauma Tuesday. Last Trauma Tuesday, we went into some deep stuff. You know, Basil and I, we're here alone, so we got to talk about some of the stuff that we've been through. Today we want to talk about trauma with you guys, and hopefully the chat can join in on this as well. Chat, if you guys have any questions for the two guests here, please go ahead and put it in there. Let's talk about trauma, man. Why do you think that, what, to the two guests, why do you guys think trauma is so hard to speak to, or to speak about?
Okay.
Honestly, it could be because you don't think anyone understands you
Mhm.
or what your problem is.
Mhm.
But I feel like everyone has kind of the same thing going around in different ways, different forms, different speeches, different vibes.
Mhm.
But if you really talk about it, they all come together and everyone can relate some way, somehow.
Mhm.
So I think it's a great thing to talk about trauma. So
Yeah.
we all can like really grasp on it and learn different ways to handle it and
Yeah.
go about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Agree with that. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, so I think to preface trauma, I prefer to call it trials and tribulations simply because the victim mentality is not useful unless you're in the process of overcoming it. So that's how I prefer to look at trauma. I believe from a very young age I was through a lot more trauma than the typical person. We can get into that. But yeah, I think trauma, you know, pain ultimately builds a person, and I think you can tell who a man is based on the level of pain he's been through and the pain he's felt, or a woman. But I prefer women without pain. That's just me. But yeah, I think pain is your power if you know how to use it properly. And I think if we're willing to talk about it, you know, the man with the best story wins.
Yeah.
And I think if we're willing to talk about that pain, it's going to allow others to talk about that pain. And I realize, damn, like, why was I so afraid to share that in the first place? And then you realize how much power is in it when somebody comes up to you and you go, just you saying that in your music, or just you saying that on the Instagram live saved my life, because I realized I wasn't alone in my shit, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, shout out to you for saying that. Actually, there's so much power in sharing your trauma or your trials and tribulation, the way you like to say it. Because I remember one time when I was a kid, someone shared something they went through, and I was going through it, and man, I was like, whoa, that person became that, you know, and it really gave me the strength to want to keep going. So that's really cool that you said that. I would go ahead and wager and say that, as successful as you are, since we know, you know, how successful you are, we actually know you personally, I would go ahead and be willing to bet to say that you've actually been through a lot of trauma. So you don't have to touch about that if you don't want to, but for me, last Trauma Tuesday, we talked about how I never met my father. My mother gave me up when I was a kid. And I got kicked out. I was homeless, slept in park benches. Saw one day I woke up in the morning and saw a dead body in a trash can in a dumpster. Saw my best friend get killed at 11. And so that's trauma after trauma after trauma. Went into the foster care system, went into the group homes, went into jail. It's like I was graduating, right? And I didn't know, but like that also made me who I am today. It could have very easily, you know, killed me, but it also made me who I am today. So I'm actually really grateful for it. I tell people all the time, I think I told you this when I first met him. I said going to jail was the best thing that ever happened to me. It really saved my life. And a lot of people couldn't comprehend that because it sounds dumb, right? But when I went in there, I spent nothing but time reading. And that really changed my life, that reading, because I would have never read a book out here ever. It's too many distractions. So personally for me, hopefully, you know, me sharing my story can, you know, empower someone out there. And so that's why I do it. So,
you know, Wes Watson is?
no, I don't know who
No?
that is.
So
No.
Why do
he
I keep hearing about his name?
Who is
he's,
that?
He's awesome. He was incarcerated for 10 years, and that was, like he says, his biggest blessing. Now he's, you know,
Really?
8 on his way to 9-figure man now, and you know, it's just,
What's his name? I gotta look him up.
Wes Watson.
Wes Watson.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he's dope ass dude all the way across the board, and just yeah, he talks about his incarceration being the biggest blessing he ever had. You know, he was a millionaire before he went in, and then now he's multimillionaire on his way out. So he just did it the right way this time.
Yeah.
And so yeah, man, taking those hard life lessons that we're taught, you know, through that kind of shit, where it's like prison, or you know, even a life lesson of, you know, seeing somebody die right in front of you. That's
that's tough.
It makes you appreciate life. It makes you grateful for, damn, like that's how quick it can go. That's how quick it's over. And I mean, that's why I'm here today, is to talk about those things at a pretty deep length, you know, deeper than I've ever spoke about them in public before. So
appreciate you for
thanks so much, man. Yeah, and also quick disclaimer, man, I'm not telling anybody to go to jail. You know what I mean? So anybody
No, yeah,
watching
no,
this-
I'm not endorsing that. Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not
yeah,
promoting
guys,
that.
hey,
but-
we're not promoting that. Don't do it. Don't do anything dumb. Don't go there. But when I was there, I had two options. You know, you do what everyone else does in there, which is waste their time, probably add more time to their sentence, get into fights, get into gangs, do drugs. I mean, there's endless stuff you can do in there to keep getting in trouble. I went to the library because you can only go to the library once a week. I got books. And I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I started out reading Harry Potter. You know what I mean? I started out really small and then I got into James Patterson. You know what I found myself doing that was very toxic? I was reading hood books in there. Like I was reading hood books, like because I was trying to live that lifestyle, right? You're in that environment. I was reading all these hood books about like guys selling drugs and getting out of jail, like being rich and such, you know, the girls, the cars and all that. And then I was like, wait, this is whack. And I started reading James Patterson. That's what really changed my life. He's a really good author. And then
How did you flip like that?
I just got bored of it. Like after I read like 3 hood books, I was like, man, this isn't actually the life I want. You know what I mean? And I went into James Patterson. He has a book called Alex Cross, and then from then I read I'm not even gonna lie, man. It's a little bit embarrassing, but I read all the Twilight books. So I read all the Twilight books, and when I got out, I watched all the Twilight movies. It was whack. When I got into Lord of the Rings, those were the best. I got into boring books, and then little by little, what I noticed was I started to build my vocabulary up just by reading. And like I said, that's probably one of the best things I could have done for myself.
Yeah.
So shout out to myself for, you know, picking out the right things to do, because I could have very easily got into some trouble in there.
Facts.
Definitely. I think all that, like Wes talks about, all that time of like self-reflection is like you said, you can go one or two ways with that. You know, it's either the pain of discipline or the pain of regret.
Yeah.
And you're picking one or the other. You know, it's so.
Yeah.
Congratulations, bro.
And shout out to you for saying that, because guess what? You're gonna suffer regardless.
Right.
You're gonna suffer bettering yourself, or you're gonna suffer with the regret that you didn't better yourself.
Yep.
And I chose the other one. So.
Bro, every Trauma Tuesday, I learned something new. You said trials and tribulations. So I always thought I never had trauma. Even the last Trauma Tuesday, I was telling Eric, I was like, bro, I've never got anything anything really.
I made fun of him.
But like seeing you saying trials and tribulations, I'm like, wait, hold on. I've really gone through stuff that shaped me and to who I am now. It's built my character.
Yeah, no, I honestly made fun of him because we were talking about trauma last week, and he said the only trauma he went through was like breaking his leg or hurting his leg.
Yeah.
And I was like, really, bro? Your whole entire life, you've never gone through anything? Yeah. He's like, yeah, I just broke my leg. And I'm like, damn, that must be a sad life. You know what I mean? Like,
that's the thing. You how deep you go in hell is how high you're gonna go into heaven.
Yeah.
So that to me is man, like I've had friends who literally would openly admit I've lived a perfect life. They're like, I have both parents in the house. They have a great relationship. I'm a single child. You know, that was one of my old best friends. And it was sad because I couldn't respect him as much as I wanted to, because it's not like he was self-inflicting adversity every day to try and make himself harder or kind of, you know, implement some type of willing pain on himself every single day to try and grow or strive in a new area, like working out, for example. That's the easiest thing you can do. If you've never experienced, you know what I'm saying, anything really life-shattering, go put fucking 450 on your back and do a squat or something, or build up to that. Go put 225 on your back first and then build, you know what I'm saying? You're gonna realize, like, damn, like I need to do this, and your mind is going to have to overcome your body, or your body's going to give out, and then you got to come back and do it again and do it again and do it again. And it's like that self-inflicted adversity just in working out is going to build you in other areas as well, because it's teaching you resilience of your mind.
Yeah.
So
and that's good that you say that, because a lot of people think that when you go to the gym, you're building your body, but bro, you're building your mind, because you have to consistently come back every single time, even after you take those L's, and your body starts to break down. You don't want to go back. Your body's like, no, let's stay in bed. So you build your mind. And like someone that I used to look his videos a lot on YouTube was The Rock. I was like, yo, how is this guy so successful? He talks about, he goes to the gym like 3 times a day, you know? He's like, man, I wake up, go to the gym, and it's building himself up like mentally. And then he goes throughout the day, he just smacking shit, you know? Like it's nothing.
Your limits.
Yeah. Talking to the mic.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It tests your limits, like how far you'll go, how much you believe in yourself. Because I was at the gym yesterday, and someone asked me, how much can you squat? How much? And I said 3 plates, and they looked at me like, no.
3 plates on each side?
Yeah. And they're like, no,
damn.
you could do more. Like, I bet you can do 6 plates.
What?
And I was like, what?
You talking about a leg press?
Yeah, leg press.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
my bad.
Gotcha.
I meant,
You
Okay,
legend.
okay.
I meant that one. And I was like, honestly, I believe I could, but
Yeah.
I've never tried. I've never gone that far. And yesterday I tried it. I got to 5 plates doing 5 times.
Wow.
Damn.
Shout out to
Yeah.
Congratulations.
No,
Yeah,
I
shout out to
gave
you.
up on the last one.
Yeah.
But
It's
Yeah.
very similar to my uncle was a professional bodybuilder, and he was training my sister as a power lifter, and he was a power lifter in high school, 450 bench, 605 squat, 605 deadlift, and he was training my sister, and he said, "All right, Britt, don't look at the weight on this bar right now. She was cleaning and jerking, and she was going for a PR, but she didn't know what the weight was.
Yeah.
She stacked weight on there. He said, don't even look at the weight. You're gonna look down at the bar, boom, you're gonna go up. Don't worry about how much I put on." And sure enough, she hit a new PR right then and there, like higher than she ever thought she could do, and it was just because it's in your mind.
It's
Yeah.
mind over
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, I agree. Chat, go ahead and ask the panel any questions you may have. I'm gonna ask you real quick, Angie. So if you care to share, what are some traumatic experiences that you've encountered?
honestly, I agreed with him.
Mhm.
At the beginning, I was very like, oh no, I don't have any traumas. Like, I didn't go through anything or anything. But then my mind just opened one day and I was like, no, I did go through traumas growing up. I may not have as much as most people, but I did raise myself. I
Mhm.
did have to take care of my brother that's older than me. I had to make the food. I had to do the laundry. I grew up quicker
Mhm.
than I had to.
Yeah.
And I feel like that put a lot on me because I felt very, very strict to myself. I
Mhm.
put so much pressure to myself to be mature.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I felt like I didn't really experience the kid life, the
Mhm.
going out life, the doing what you want,
Yeah.
sneaking out or
Yeah.
doing anything that really says that you did much as a kid.
I agree.
But now as I'm older, I appreciate all of that because now I can experience it now. Now I've been working since 12. Like, I built a life that I want to do, that I want to become.
Mhm.
And I'm still going for it. I'm still doing everything that I would like to do.
Yeah, and you're super young still.
Yeah.
That's a crazy part about it. It's funny because you just said that you didn't really get to experience your childhood. Same thing with me. I mean, I was homeless at 10. You know what I mean? So like, and even before that, I didn't meet my mom. I met my mom the first time when I was 7, and she was giving me up when I was almost 10.
You mind going into that story?
Yeah. So my mom immigrated to this country when she was pregnant with me. There was a lot going on back home in her country, so she immigrated here. I remember she told me the story when she was in Mexico. She thought she was actually gonna have me like in Mexico. I was like, fuck, you know what I mean? And luckily she made it into Texas. So I was an American. I could have just been born anywhere at that point, but somehow she made it straight to DC. So when she arrived to Washington DC, I was born probably about a day later. And according to what she tells me. And so I was lucky. I was born in the best city, in my opinion, in the world. You know what I mean? The strongest one, at least. And from there on, what happened was she was an immigrant. So she didn't have anybody here. No papers, no family, no job. She didn't have money. So she sent me back to my grandmother, which is the person that she knew would take care of me. So I didn't meet my mother until I was 7. And when I came to this country, she was married. And the guy that she was with, he wasn't a good guy. So it was either me or him, and unfortunately it was him. And so she basically went to court and was like, hey, I was at this point, I was basically like starting to act up and rebel. Plus I had just came to this country and I didn't really know the language. So also that was another whammy for me, right? And I was running around schools acting dumb. Like, I literally remember running out of elementary school and everybody was chasing me. I was just like, yo, get me out of here. Like, I was just trying to escape. Like, I thought,
What was the reason? Like, why?
well, because like they put me into a school system where I couldn't understand what they were saying,
Okay.
right?
So
So
you
like,
have like anything where you could
no, it
English?
was what grade was that? I don't even remember, but it was elementary school. And I remember just wanting to get out. Like, I just wanted to find my grandmother. And because I just basically got ripped away from them. And then I was in Washington, DC. So we went from there, and yeah, eventually, like I said, when I reached 10, I got kicked out due to some family stuff. And I went into the system. And after that, man, it was just like I never had a stable home. I never had a stable family. And I found myself really envying people that had 2 parents, really envying people that celebrated Christmas and that got gifts, and just the basic stuff that people take for granted. I hated people. Like, I was like, yo, why didn't I get that? I don't even know my father to this day. I never met my father. And so it was a victim mentality. I would literally tell myself like, oh, you're just a victim. And bro, that was the worst thing I could have done for myself. Cause I started going downhill from there. And hopefully one day I can go back and help people that are in similar situations and help them realize that they're not victims, man. But it's hard though, when you're a kid trying to become a man
Mhm.
and you don't have a father figure. God, bro, that's the word. That's why I'm so strong on like all kids need their father, because without a man, you're lost, and women, unfortunately, like no dirt to my mom, but she was trying so hard to build a family for herself. She didn't want to be alone, so she picked a man over her kids, you know what I mean? And guess what? Now we remember that, and it's a hard life for her to live, because she's like, yo, like my kids don't really have a good relationship with me, but those choices you made back then, man, they fucked us up. And now you kind of got to live with those, so
Pain and regret.
yeah, that regret, man. That regret's tough to live with too.
How does that feel on you though now? Because like all that trauma, it built you into who you are and that character. Like,
so
would
it's
you
a
go
double-
back to change it?
It's a double-edged sword. Would I go back? Man, that's a tough question. Because like there's a part of you that's always gonna wonder how would life have been if you had just had a regular family, And I mean, to an extent, like I said, I grew up envying people.
But what's a regular family?
Shit, man, for me, like having two parents, even if they're fighting, like just having two parents that care enough for you to give you a room to live in, you know what I mean? To not kick you out, to give you a roof over your head and food, and maybe even like a butt whooping every now and then. Like I would have, a lot of people have that and they take it for granted. I would have loved that. I was getting beat by random people at a group home, you know what I mean? Because no one cared for me. So bro, I would rather get beat by two parents that at least care for me.
Yeah, have true love for you.
Yeah, but would I go back and change it? I don't know, man, because I like who I am now. The biggest problem that I'm having right now is that I don't have enough people like me around me now. So I feel alone. And I have good people around me, but fuck, man, sometimes you feel alone. And I don't think I'd go back though. I think I really am stuck to like I want to go back to where I'm from and help people that are going through what I went through. That's all I really care about.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Bro, do we have any chats?
We got a couple.
Go ahead.
Ray says, when I work on cars, I will get in the groove and continuously work until I can't anymore. And it helps me keep from giving up on completely different tasks throughout my day. And Dynamic Soul has a question for Josh. He says, W. Josh, how much trauma did you experience before doing proper risk management? And do you have a favorite margin you like to sprinkle on trades?
The trading question about trauma. Oh man, look, if trading pain is your biggest pain, you don't have any pain. If losing money is your biggest pain, you don't have any fucking pain in your life, and you need to go get some, because that's going to build you into an individual worth respecting. You look at any hero's journey, they always had some type of pain. If you don't, like Drake said, if they don't have a story, they'll make one. So go fucking make one. Go find you some pain. Go experience something. And like the not having a father thing, I said it before, I'll say it again. A boy cannot become a man until his father dies, and that's just the truth. You don't have nobody to lean on. But to answer your question about proper risk management and trading and stuff, bro, like, come on, I mean, go through the process. It doesn't matter how much it was for me. I'm going to handle it different than you, because I understand it's just numbers on a screen. And that to me is like stubbing my toe if I lose a trade or something like that. But yeah, I'm not even here to talk really about trading, to be honest. But yeah.
So for you, if you don't mind sharing, what's your most traumatic experience you had?
Yeah, so I'll try to wrap this up as quickly as possible in the most nutshell version of it. But yeah, it was my father. He was in a bridge collapse when I was 4 years old. It's called Marcy Bridge Collapse. I don't even know if I can talk about this, but it's called the Marcy Bridge Collapse, and happened in 2002. I was 4 years old. Went to work one day, didn't come back. Unrecognizable on the scene. Given 24 hours to live, taken to a different hospital than everybody else. They almost took his organs because he was a organ donor. Mom showed up there like moments before they did. In a coma for a month and a day. Broke damn near every bone in his body, shattered his entire face, whole side of his right side of his skull. In ICU for 9 months in Sinai Hospital in New York City. Was brought there from upstate New York. Two eyewitness reports said that when it was going to collapse, basically how it all happened was the engineer overrid an error in the design of the bridge that was stating that the wet concrete weighs more than the dry concrete. There was no structural support in the middle. Therefore, it all collapsed. One eyewitness report said that my dad was going to run off the bridge, and he went to crouch down, and, he was like a gymnast. He would like walk across beams, 50 feet in the air, and on his hands, and do flips and shit like that. And so my mom said he probably would have done, a couple front flips, landed on his feet from 50 feet up above dirt, and probably broke his legs, but overall would have been fine. Eyewitness report said he went to bend his legs to jump off this bridge 50 feet above dirt, and rebar came, hit him in the back of the head, threw him to the ground, and got hit by a bunch of stuff on the way down, hit the ground. Another eyewitness report said there was one woman on the job. Another eyewitness report said that he was on his stomach crawling to this woman. Rebar threw her back out her stomach, legs bent over, touching the ground in front of him, and he was crawling to her, trying to help her. And meanwhile, his whole face shattered, his whole right side of his skull shattered, bunch of bones broken all throughout him. And he, again, was given 24 hours to live, coma for a month and a day, ICU for 9 months. And that to me, he survived 8 years after that. And that to me was the most shaping experience of my life. And hopefully it's the most shaping experience of my life that I'll ever have to experience. But when a child is in the ages of 0 to 7, they're in what's called theta and delta brainwave states. And that's where you get your subconscious program for the first time. And the Jesuits would say, give me the boy until he's 7 and I'll show you the man. And so with that being the case, that trauma, that pain, that impact on my life was literally programmed in my subconscious DNA. So that was a pattern I literally had to go and break years later when I was 20 years old, where I gave up my entire name. I gave up everything. I stopped even using my name, stopped identifying with my favorite football team, stopped hanging around anybody, just phone on airplane mode every day for a year straight. But to get back to the father situation, lived 8 years. He, would go to like my sporting events. And if anybody knows about traumatic head injuries, that's going to change a person indefinitely, if it's bad enough. And he didn't have just one, he had two, because a nurse didn't lock his brakes a couple years after the first one on a hill. And long story short, he rolled down that hill and went into the front of a pickup truck, blew up the shunt that was in taking fluid off his brain, shattered his whole face again, had to go through full facial reconstruction, shifted the plate that was in his head. But yeah, that day when I was 4, my father died mentally. He was no longer my father, who my father was. His character, his mannerisms, all the behaviors, it died that day, who he was. But his physical shell was still there, and there'd be glances and glimpses through, that. But yeah, when I was 12, he ended up passing, and technically you could say he took his own life. He stopped drinking, stopped eating, stopped taking any of the meds, and it was the most peaceful way I've ever known anybody to go out. And there's a thing in the books of old that say, when somebody's chosen, they choose the day they die. And he definitely chose the day he died. And for about 2 weeks, he wasn't eating, wasn't drinking, wasn't taking any of the meds. And and he went out. And for that whole time in between, up until 2 days before he passed, he had called me Steven, which is my cousin's name, because his memory was so fucked up from the accident that he forgot who I was, and that second to last day, though, before he passed, he called me Josh and got to say goodbye. And it was like he came back to himself. And I could get real deep even on the paranormal side of things and possession and all that shit. But I maybe won't go there now. But yeah, it was like he was released with whatever had taken him over. And that was the day my father died physically. So I basically experienced my father dying twice, once when I was 4 mentally, and then again when I was 12 physically. And that's in a nutshell the story of that. And a year later, after the bridge collapse, actually the engineer blew his head off because he saw what he did to not only my father but some others as well. One guy named Scotty died on the bridge that day, and then there were several others that got hurt that day but are walking, talking, playing, like have their minds together today. But my dad definitely got the worst end of that stick. And and that's my example of a man in my life, showing me what true strength, enduring, and willpower is, and I have no better example, so that was like, to me, a lot of people don't grow up with a father they can look up to. And even though he was in a wheelchair, in 24/7 care, and you had to bathe him and change him and feed him and everything like that. And it was my whole family's mission to make sure he was good. It was still a man I looked up to because of just the sheer actions he was showing. Like he should have died twice.
The willpower,
the willpower itself was more than enough to be like, damn, like I'll never probably endure anything like that. So when I get my chest broken from a surgery where they put a bar on my chest and it's the third most painful surgery to go through and they break your whole chest cavity, I'm thinking the whole time, nah, this ain't shit. This ain't shit. When I have people running up to me with guns, I'm like, cool, I got somebody to meet up there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's when a buck knife went through my hand at 10 years old by my own doing, it's like, okay, what's this? My father was dead twice, basically, given 24 hours to live twice. So what is this to me? So yeah, I kind of compare myself to that in my day to day. And that's why I say, like, if money is your biggest problem, you don't have a fucking problem.
Yeah.
If Instagram or your likes or whoever your friend group, like, you don't have a fucking problem. And you and me know that a lot of people's day-to-day problems that they may find as their biggest issues are our smallest fucking problems that we could ever think of. It's like us stubbing our toe, and that's their biggest thing. Oh, you went through a relationship breakup. That's your thing, bro. That's your biggest, trauma that you went through. That's your biggest trial and tribulation. Like, come on. So I think just from a young age, life was really put into perspective for me. Like, oh, if I'm not here, if I'm not healthy, if I'm not alive, none of this shit fucking matters. None of it. So going through school, I was like, fuck this. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. Like, what are y'all going to tell me making $30,000 a year? Y'all want to teach me this fucking book? How did that work out for you? I always had a different angle. I was always just thinking different, I think, because of that trauma. And I'm sure you could relate and feel the same way. You just realize, like, this is so mundane. This is bullshit. You understood the system was a system from day one, because you had that different outlook that was instilled in you from the trauma. And that's how I felt. And that by far is the biggest thing, sprinkled with some other the surgeries and stuff like that. And hanging around with the wrong people and being in wrong places at the wrong times. And just, but that was the defining factor in my life. That's the only reason I'm in Florida. That's the only reason I probably make music. That's the only reason I'm able to do what I do today and inspire others, the way I do today, is because of that pain, those trials, those tribulations. So, yeah.
Wow, man, that's crazy. Thank you so much for sharing that, bro. It takes a lot of courage to share something like that, man. I really appreciate that, and hopefully everybody that's watching can appreciate it too. It's kind of funny for me when I hear you talk about that, because I'm like, God damn, I thought I had it bad. You know what I mean? And there's always someone that has it worse still. You know what I mean? So I like the way you answered that, because for some people, losing money is their biggest fear. And when you've gone through something like, I saw my best friend get his head blown off in front. I was a little kid. Bro, losing money is nothing in comparison to that. So but for for people like
shit.
No. Oh my God.
All right. So what do you think about that?
I think honestly that's crazy. Like, you went through so much at such a young age and you still grew from that and you wanted better for yourself. And I think that's honestly amazing. And you couldn't have done it better. You're helping more people with your trials and tribulations. And I think that's the best thing you can do out here, especially in today's society. I think that's the best thing. Well, I'm sorry that happened to you, but it can be helpful to many other people out there that feel like that they're going through so much, or people that think that they're going through so much and they're not, like you said, like a little pebble. Like,
yeah, and to touch on that, like I'm sorry that happened to you. Like, honestly, I'm grateful that happened to me. And I know I'm in contract with my Father and God to complete a mission here while I'm here.
Yeah.
And I have what it does is it instills a level of responsibility upon me that I can't run from.
Yeah, I agree.
And
we just talked about that.
And that, and that's like, that to me is the greatest gift anybody could ever give me. And my father gave me that. He was like, all right, son, I'm gonna show you one more lesson. Watch this.
Yeah.
Figure it out on yourself. Figure it out your damn self, boy. That's welcome to reality.
Yeah.
You don't have daddy here to help you. Welcome to reality. Go figure out women by yourself. Trial and error, motherfucker. Throw shit at the wall till it sticks. Go figure out business by yourself. Go figure out who's a good man, who's not, who's a good friend, who's not. Go figure out all this shit by yourself. And you don't. There's one. You're either gonna break or it's gonna build you. You
Mhm.
know, it's either gonna break you or build you, and that to me is for any young man is the most important lesson, is that, hey, daddy ain't coming home.
Mhm.
He's not here to save you, and mama don't know how to raise a man, so you better learn.
Mhm.
But now in your
And I
mind,
appreciate
you're gonna think, I have unmatched willpower. I have unmatched strength. There's no one that could probably compete on my level.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I mean, the belief to know how many times, you know, I thought I wasn't gonna be here tomorrow, you know, to where it was like, man, like it might not even be at somebody else's hand at that point.
Mhm.
You know, the amount of times that I went through that and you know, overcame that, and I lost one of my friends when I was 15 as well to gun violence, and you know, so I understand that as well, and it's you know, it teaches you that, hey, the world's a cold place, and yeah, all you really have sometimes is your fucking will, just your will to live.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all he lived on for 8 years, was just his will to fucking live. Like, you don't go through what he went through and survive, and everybody thought he was
Mhm.
done in 24 hours twice, you know, and he was like, nah, motherfucker, I'm here.
Yeah.
You know,
Just like they doubted him. He
yeah,
was like, nah.
half of his skull gone, bro.
Yeah.
Gone. You can look at the picture on my Instagram, scroll down all the way. I posted it the other day on my story. Like, half of his skull gone. And it's like, some people might be like, damn, why'd you I posted that when I was like fucking 14.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, because I'm like, this is my reality.
Mhm.
This is my reality, and I'd be damned if I don't put this out there, because maybe just maybe it's gonna make somebody go, oh wait, my problems ain't all that big.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then there's people's problems I look at, bro, and
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, it gives me goosebumps right now. Like,
Yeah.
I'll show you if I fucking roll this sleep up. But like, I've heard stories, man, like that just blow me out of the water. I'm like, holy fuck, dude. Like,
Yeah.
you experienced that, geez, man. Like, God bless you, because that's some crazy shit, you know.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
as much as I've been through, as much as I've seen and I've experienced, I know stories out there that are just like you would never hear about, you know. And it's crazy. So I'm grateful for the pain. I'm grateful for the experiences. I'm grateful for it all. And I think that's really the only way to handle it healthily.
Yeah.
I think any other way, I was angry at the world for a long time too. It was like just seeing my friends have their dads show up to soccer games and football games, you know. I was like, well, fuck, bro. Like, my dad might have been there till I was 12, but he was in a wheelchair with a tray table, possibly having a grand mal seizure, maybe wearing a helmet,
Mhm.
you know, and cussing out his ass, like saying crazy shit because he couldn't control his mouth, and he has the head trauma. So it was just like, and he never cussed really like that before. He was never that guy. That wasn't even him. And so yeah, man, I understand like that as well, where the anger can come from, and the frustration, and especially being a young boy feeling cheated and misled by the world. And like, I'd have had a pretty fucking easy life if that didn't, you know, if that didn't compound into many things going sideways. But I wouldn't have wanted an easy life. That's not why I came back. That's not what I signed up for.
Mhm.
You know, I signed up to deal with the trials and tribulations so I could go out there and be a living, breathing example to help other people get through their shit. And that's exactly why you're here as well, I believe. So yeah, man, I think we have a greater responsibility than most, and that is bestowed upon us because somebody somewhere, call it God, call it universe, your higher self, knows that we can handle it.
Yeah. Wow, man, I really appreciate you saying that too, and the fact that you said that you're actually glad that you went through it. I hate to say it, but I feel the same way. It's like I feel like there's a reason why I went through that. I didn't go through that for nothing, bro. I really don't feel like I went through that for nothing. And I used to hear people say that corny saying that it goes God gives his greatest test to like his strongest angels or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? I don't want, like, you don't know what I'm going through. But I can honestly say that just recently too, I realized that you don't really become a leader until you start being responsible for other people. And that's something that you just recently said. I agree with that 100%. Yeah. Basil kind of quiet over there.
No, every time people tell me, you know, traumatic stories, I try to put myself in that situation, like relive it, so I could have a better understanding, so I could use it as motivation now. Be like, damn, like he went through this, like, nah, like,
yeah,
like you said, these little things, man, fuck that. Like,
Right.
I need to build myself up into a better man. Like, I can't, you can't be at a higher or a place that I want to be and then go do this. And I'm like, wait, hold on, I have it way easier. Why the fuck am I not there?
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I think I can answer that question, is that it's intrinsic versus extrinsic motivation.
Mhm.
Intrinsic is something you're instilled with. That's also known as inspiration.
Yeah.
It's something that it's just inside of you because of the shit you've seen, you've been through, your experiences, whatever.
Yeah.
But that extrinsic motivation, I've used a fuck ton of it, bro. I was basically raised by the David Goggins and the Eric Thomases on YouTube and all those motivational
Yep.
speeches, you know,
Les
with the
Brown,
big
yep.
drums, Les Brown. Like I would listen to those every single morning because I knew I had to reprogram my mind for something different. Because I understood very well that, hey, this was my default program, was kind of that pain, trauma, death, disease, suffering, you know, and I realized that I had to change it to be like that winner's mentality.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to have that, like, to have that comeback mentality when you don't have much to come back from.
Mhm.
And everybody has pain. Everybody has a story. Everybody, I don't care who you are, everybody has dealt with a certain level of pain. And it's just about being real honest and being like, okay, how did I maneuver that? How did I go about it? Can I instill certain habits to kind of implement self-inflicted adversity?
Mhm.
So that's where it's like somebody like you is like, yeah, you hear us talking about this, and like that's where we pull from. You know what I mean? I pull from above.
Mhm.
I pull from just above, and I just let it come out my mouth, or I just go do work with my hands, or I just get to action. And with you, it's like you can use the extrinsic motivation, but you got to find out your why.
Yeah.
You have to find out your why.
Yeah.
Why the fuck are you doing what you're doing? Why? Why do you want to run a podcast and make it huge? Why do you want to be the best Basil you can be? Why are you living this fucking life right now? You have to go deep inside yourself and ask yourself. I know for me, my why is I'm in contract to make my father proud. I'm in contract with God. I have a responsibility I bear. I'm in contract to take care of my mother, my little brother, my sisters. I'm in contract to make my family proud. I'm in contract to literally change the world. That's why I'm here. I know why I'm here. And for you, you have to figure out why are you here and why are you doing what you're doing. I know that I want my music to reach, and it will reach billions of people and touch hearts of billions and even trillions. Those are two of my life goals: $1 trillion and 1 trillion people positively impacted. And that's a goal beyond my lifetime. I know there's only 8 billion people on the planet. So if I shoot for 1 trillion, if I hit 100 billion, bro, if I do 1/10 of that, I'm remembered forever. And then everybody can always look back at the story. Same reason they look at Jesus, same reason they look at Buddha, Krishna, Allah, whoever. It's the stories, the prophets of old. They probably are real people. Why couldn't they be? I mean, there are probably prophets in this room. We might all be prophets. Like, we want to get deep, like, really, for real, you know, like that's the thing. But everybody's stuck in the old days. It's like, no, what's here right now? We got prophets walking the earth right now, changing the face of the world right in front of us, you know, and you could be one of them. And you just got to figure out your why you're doing what you're doing, why you feel deserving to have maybe impact or influence or status or money or power or fame or whatever it is. Like, you have to figure out why it is you're doing what you're doing. And when you answer that question to yourself, that's when it's going to instill the worth, and the work is going to instill the worth as well. And that's actually Wes Watson. He says that the work will instill the worth. So, you know, you feel as though you're giving to people with this podcast. You're giving information. You're giving value. You're bringing people on here. You guys are having conversation. Like, that's valuable, bro.
Yeah.
People fucking need this shit. And now to keep you going when, okay, shit gets hard, or shit gets rough, why are you doing it? Remember why. Is it a family member? Is it, if you make it something bigger than yourself, you'll never fail to persevere.
Yeah.
So yeah.
When we sit here,
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
When we sit here and talk about trauma, slowly, I, bring stuff up in my head, stuff start unlocking. I'm like, oh shit,
There's something.
That was something there. That's something there.
Mhm.
But I think what it is I don't want to be labeled as a victim. So I put it in the back of my head and locked it. I'm like, oh, I don't want to have that mentality. I want to have the mentality like nothing could phase me, nothing could beat me.
Suppression, and that's and it's a certain level of suppression, but it's also a certain level of you have to pull from that. And if you speak it out, you could change somebody's life, bro. I've said things on Instagram lives that I didn't know we're gonna save somebody's life that day. I mean, you guys are saying stuff on here that's saving people's lives, like, for real. So like, you bear a responsibility, like, with this audience and everything like that, and this platform. Like, you guys bear a certain level of responsibility. Even just getting on Instagram, doing Instagram live, like, stuff like that. It's like, people are hearing you that you don't know are hearing you. You know, so
I agree 100%. I've already had 2 people reach out to me on Instagram and just tell me like, yo, like, you changed my life. And I'm like, damn, really? You know? And another thing that I would say is, to piggyback off what you said, is also you have to think about who gets affected if you don't do what you're supposed to
Right.
do.
That's right.
And we talked about this word for word, almost everything I've said to you the other day about why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I literally said it's never for me. It's always for my family, or it's always for people I love. I never do it for me. And then I think about Les Brown, someone that I used to listen to every single morning, because just like him, I had to unteach everything that I learned when I was going through that. And it's hard too, because in a moment when you're trying to teach yourself that, I used to go to YouTube because my girlfriend wasn't even supportive. My friends, everybody's like, yeah, but look at what you did. Look at where you came from. Like, you really think you're gonna do that? And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. And I used to listen to Les Brown say, you can do it. And like, he was like a father figure to me. I used to listen to him every single day. Les Brown, Jim Rohn. I could go on and on. You know what I mean? All the guys that have passed, but they were like father figures. And they would always say that I'm not very religious, but they would always say that when you waste your talents, it's like you're being disrespectful to God.
Yeah. The prodigal son.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And so what I took from that was like, okay, who gets affected if I don't do what I'm supposed to do?
Right.
My family's gonna get affected. My family, they depend on me in one form, shape, or way. Like, they're depending on me. So I didn't leave them, come down to Miami. We're far away from home, all of us. And I didn't come down here to go to the club. So shout out to you, Josh, for always coming through, man, and just spitting some real shit.
Facts.
Amar, could you do me a favor and read some of the chats, bro?
Yeah. Let's see. Ben has a pretty long question. So he says, you guys know the story from the twins that had an alcoholic father. One turned out to be an alcoholic and homeless, and the other being very successful. Both were asked why they're in this spot, and both answered, having such a father, what else would I have done? So his question is, why do you guys think some people act so different growing up in the same environment?
That's a good question.
No two people are alike. No two people. I don't care if you're twins. It doesn't matter. No two people are alike. And that's why I always tell people, don't pull motivation from someone else. Pull motivation from yourself. You are always going to be the best motivation to push yourself further, because you know what your limits are mentally, physically. That's where you know your limits are. And for those two people, one guy wanted it more than the other. One guy wanted to play that victim mentality and be like, oh, well, this is because of my dad. This is because of this. The other guy was like, nah, I'm going to use my dad and not play the victim mentality, but use that as motivation to push myself to be better and be better than him.
Yeah, agreed. That story basically shows the power of choice. You have a choice. You can either, like I said, you can suffer being good, or you can suffer being bad. So there's another one by Dynamic Soul. You want to go ahead and read that one, bro?
It says, W. Josh, I found high leverage help me stick to tight risk management and overcome the losses to now live a life of abundance. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. And thank you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Astro Chimp says, losing money is scary to people because it stems from survival, but we can always go out there and get more, one way or another. It doesn't compare to the pain of losing a loved one is much greater.
Agreed, man. They're printing money every single day. You just have to go get it.
Yeah.
So
and about that the alcoholic like kind of thing where one turned out, or like why one person would turn out different in the same environment is perspective, right? Because you might look at that alcoholic father and be like, man, I'm just gonna end up like my dad. Or you might look at the alcoholic father and be like, that's the exact example of what I don't want to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's a matter of perspective. So if you have a piece of shit role model in your life, for a parent or guardian or whatever, you can look at that and say, you know what? They do all these things. Let me just try to do the exact opposite, if that's what you don't want to end up being. But some people, they fall into those same patterns, and their parents are more like friends to them. And, it just turns out the way it does. But I think perspective is huge on that. And again, yeah, choice is everything. So, yeah.
GMC Hammer says, Josh, honestly, I had a job here to do as mod, but honestly, I was locked in on what you were saying. Resonated heavily.
I appreciate that. Thank
you. W overcome adversity. That's from Dynamic. Yeah, guys. Wow, shit. 48 minutes already, man. It's crazy how fast time flies when you're talking about stuff like that.
And it's stuff like that you're really in tune with and you enjoy. It's like, man.
Yeah. You've been kind of quiet over here. You want to say something about that?
Honestly, I can agree with what both of you said, with how the two perspectives of how things turn out. Like with my dad, I he wasn't in my life. He was always in and out. He cared more about his job, or he cared more about a woman, or he cared more about his country, or it was more for something else, never for me. And now he has this whole new family, whole new set of kids, and my motive is to give the kids what I didn't get.
Mhm.
Like, what I'm scared that he's going to do the same thing to them.
Mhm.
But the difference is that I don't think my brother sees it that way. My older brother.
Mhm.
So I want to be that one to take from that and give it to them. Like, I would never want what I went through to go with them. But then with what you said, with following your family's footsteps and exiting, I just had a conversation with my cousin the other day, and she's still, well, both of my cousins are still going through the family business. One is still working with his father, and one is still working with the mother. But if you really look out the picture, none of it is really taking them anywhere. None of it is going to go anywhere. They're just stuck, just trying to please them and trying to do what they think is best for them so that they're still up and running. But they have so much potential to do so much more with their life, and they can honestly grow to be better. And it pains me that they don't see it, and they don't go for it, and they don't try for it. And it's just like,
So they say a good leader won't tell you what to see, but they'll show you where to look.
mhm.
Show them where to look. You know, be that living, breathing example of what you want them to be. Because if they do look up to you in any way, which they will if you are that example, then they'll follow in your footsteps instead. It might take them longer to realize that, but it will happen.
Yeah.
Agree with that. All right, guys. So we do have to get ready for the nighttime show, so we're gonna end it soon. Any last questions? Rafe says, if you can't listen to the podcast now, listen on Spotify. Yeah, guys, shout out to Spotify. Shout out to Basil for setting it up. We are on Spotify now. We're gonna have to get ready for tonight's show, so we're gonna get off soon. But if you guys want to make sure that you tune in for that, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Also, like the video for the algorithm. Thanks again for the two guests, man. They're gonna be here again for the nighttime show. We're gonna take a quick break.
Facts.
Thanks again, man. We'll see you guys later. Peace.